a coffee cup on my nightstand. Not to reminisce, just a reminder to never go back to a life we shared. Anytime I'm feeling the urge to look at a picture, oh, I get so confused. 'Cause I swear I am so over you. My mommy told me that we shouldn't worry. Daddy told me just a good story. He said to move on and keep going. Imagine we had one more life, one more shot at sunrise. Erase everything, start with new eyes. No more practicing tragic goodbyes. What if this
One, two. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. Yo, shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet. Unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP, the ugly. It's called ugly cause it's not professional, but I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
It's August 17th, 2023, and this is the PHP Ugly Podcast, episode 348. If this is your first time hanging out with us, either listening or watching, welcome. This is a podcast that focuses on PHP programming, running a business, and making a living with the PHP programming language. That sounded horrible. This is a podcast that focuses on the PHP programming language and its community. We are three real-world developers who make a living and run a business focused on PHP. That was better. We stream live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. PDT. daylight savings time. I just remembered, or 4 a.m. GMT, or for you real geeks out there, UTC. You can be part of this live stream by joining us in our Discord at discord.phpugly.com. And you can participate in the show while we're streaming live. You can suggest titles, have conversations, and then even after the show, you can hang out in our Discord all week long. There's some fantastic conversations that go on and discussions that happen. If you are watching us live on YouTube, stick around for the after party where things get a little uglier, a little less controlled. And if you're not watching us and you're listening to us on our podcast, head on over to our YouTube channel and check us out and make sure you subscribe. This show is made just a little better thanks to a few sponsors, honeybadger.io and JetBrains PhpStorm and PHP Architect. We'll talk about all of those wonderful brands a little later in the show, as well as our supporters on Patreon, who are very special people to us. These are people in our community who just like to say thank you and give us a little support on Patreon. And we will highlight them a little later as well. I think that's it. I think I can go into introductions. I'm Eric Van Johnson, and I am one of your fine developer hosts who will be leading you on this journey tonight. And with me tonight, the man who still feels like Pogs will be a thriving market one day, John Congdon.
I don't even know what a pog is.
And
I had something else to say, and then you screwed me up with the pogs. I don't even know what a pog is.
How do you not know what a pog is? What is wrong with you? Am I just showing my age? Is that like out of your age range? Damn it. All right, moving on. And Beanie Baby's still his retirement plan. Tom, right up.
Hello.
Tom, tell me you know what a pog is.
Yes.
Please tell me.
Yes, I had quite the collection of slammers back in my day.
I did enjoy the pogs. Very easy to carry around and trade. Yes.
Yeah, and like
Pogs, John.
Grocery stores got into it too. Like you got them everywhere you went for a while.
Yeah, pogs. Are you just messing with me, or do you really not know what they are?
I don't know what they are.
Pogs were these little like round discs.
There were the tops for milk caps, like milk bottles in
Oh, was that really what they were?
Yeah, it all came from Hawaii.
Well, I knew they'd come from Hawaii, but I didn't realize they were originally the top of milk bottles.
Yeah.
No, well, there you go. Yeah, and like Tom said, everybody who had any sort of marketing for anything got involved with Pogs. Pogs were cheap. You could throw some graphics on it, and people bought them up. And you would trade them, and you would slam them. There was a little game where you'd stack them and slam them, and
yeah, there was like at a certain point, like the penny saver thing that came in the mail just for resident had some in it. Like it was one of the craziest trends.
Yeah, you're the most boring person I know, John. You have no understanding of culture.
I'd also like to point out that most of the PHP Ugly after recording is just John going, "Oh shit, I was gonna say this thing and I forgot."
What are you talking about? No, I don't.
All the time, John.
It's like every 2 or 3 episodes.
Oh, I wanted to talk about this.
The moment recording stops.
Stop. Now you mess stuff up.
All right, so, gentlemen, John, how was your week?
Oh, my week has been full of debugging, which is not uncommon. It's been full of planning for the future, which is not uncommon. We've been making some good strides, PHP Architect and phptek over the past week, or more than that, but it's been a grind as far as getting things done, right? We announced the beginning of phptek, having dates selected and the venue chosen. Now we're starting all the other stuff going into phptek, from the prospectus for people that want to sponsor the events to coming up with plans for themes, website design. It's been a busy week.
Very true.
That's all I got. Meetings, lots of meetings.
How are you,
meetings are
Tom?
Fun. Oh, you know, trying not to make the same mistakes as I made last week. It's been interesting.
Did we talk about mistakes last week? What did I miss?
No, they came up on Monday,
Oh.
where I had pushed something out and it failed miserably, and you know,
Well, that would have been this week, wouldn't it?
yeah. Well, the code that was pushed went out last week, and then it was a mad dash to undo and fix and put more onus on the QA team than I was doing previously, which is like I'm supposed to do that, but I keep not doing that. So
Because you don't want to feel like a burden.
right, I know. That's
It's like I should have tested the code myself. Why?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I ran it, so it works fine. Thanks. No, and I have to write these test cases for QA, and I'm just sort of like omitting things where I'm like, yeah, it's hard to test that. Don't worry about it. And
I do that. I'm guilty. I do that all the time. I'm like,
it sounds terrible.
I mean, isn't that the
But I
stuff you
can't
really want to
imagine.
test for, though?
But I can't
But-
imagine that not everyone feels the same way as me, where they're like, no, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about this. Like, I don't mean to
Yeah.
give you hard thing. Give you easy thing. It's,
but there's a difference when you can say, "Go here, do this, and you should see that." That's the
I'm
easy
not even
piece.
supposed to do that though.
Right.
But
I'm just supposed to say, this is what the new feature does. You give me all the test cases you ran, and I'll tell you if that's adequate.
I want your QA team.
Well, it's a full department. It's very frustrating to like to have stuff come back, but B to say like, hey, this is solid, this works, and don't worry about it. And then like it comes back to you, and you had told QA, don't worry about it. Like that sucks too. I hate giving
I have a
people
lot of
work.
I have a lot of those cases where the change isn't visual unless you have access to the database. You don't necessarily know that the change did anything. So I get a lot of those cases.
Yeah, absolutely. And like our QA department is very competent, very good. They know what they're doing. They can access the database. They can modify records and like
Whoa.
insert
That is not a QA team. Wait, what?
staging records. They can get a client into a specific state that needs to be tested. Some of these states take like weeks to get into, so you just have to go into the record and like mark it as in that state. So the QA team
Isn't that where seed data comes in, though?
we don't seed with tests. We have to just tell them like, hey, this is what it does. Prove that it does that. Yeah. I mean, that kind of comes into another like issue that all of this came out of, which was like, does QA read the spec and make sure that the code that I pushed out meets the spec? Do I have zero interaction with QA and they come back and say, hey, you just missed a whole part of the spec that's like super important? Or is that code review? Or is that both?
Both, I would think.
Well, because I had mentioned last week that part of when I do code review is first reading the spec and making sure that the new code meets the spec. Did you miss the SMS part? Did you miss the text change on this document or whatever? But QA should be doing that too, but not every environment can do that. Not everyone can interpret the spec the same way, and I don't know, it
a
was a
balancing
headache.
act.
Yeah, it is, and it was a headache of a week where I had to redo a lot of stuff that I had already done because there was an oversight on my part or on QA's part, mostly my part, and I have to own up to that. That's the worst, is when you're like talking to your boss and he's like, so why didn't this get checked? And I'm like, because I didn't check it. I just didn't.
Because there's a lot of different use cases, and it worked the way I thought you wanted it to work.
Yeah. Programming's hard, man. I want to get into project management now. I'm kind of done with programming this week.
All right, Eric, how was your week?
I've hurt Eric personally by saying that.
First off, I didn't think it was possible for me to lose more respect for Tom, but there he goes, showing me up again. First question before I start talking too much: are you guys still seeing the chat on the side here?
Yep.
Okay, I have a black bar and it's telling me to reload my page, and I refuse to do so. So
Yeah,
I'm just
that'll
going to
happen if you like hide the little the right nav thing that has all the options.
Oh, I had accidentally hit full screen on mine. That's what
Yeah.
did it.
Yeah, it doesn't come back after that.
Okay, I'm not worried about it. I don't keep up with Discord anyways, as has been noted many times by family members in Discord. John, thanks for asking. Going well. You kind of touched on a couple things that I was excited about, which is mainly the fact that we have some wheels in motion for phptek next year, including, so we're engaged with the design team and have some like early kind of designs, and we've talked about themes and things like that. So excited about that. Besides that, I have a new hobby. My wife and I, the current wife that is, we lay in our pool from like 7:30 to 8:00, and bats just fly around us. I feel like I'm in the bat cave. They literally, we're laying in the pool and
knew it was a Batman thing.
They're splashing down in the water.
No way, really?
They fly.
Those bats are dying.
Huh?
Those are dying bats.
No, they hit the water and bounce back up. They just come down and they're just getting the animals, the little insects. And they have no fear of us. Like, they will fly just between the current wife and I's heads, which are just the only thing bobbing above the water. And it's become very exciting. That reminds me, current wife, if you're watching, did we ever figure out what a flock of bats are called? Or does anybody in our Discord know what a flock of bats are? Because we have a flock of bats, a lot of bats that just come dive bombing. It's crazy. It's so crazy. And it's cool because there's enough light where you can watch them. We live at the bottom of a hillside that, is just nothing. There's nothing back there but wild, plants and stuff. And they just come, they're coming from somewhere over there. Like, I don't know if there's a little cave up there. I don't know where these bats live, like if they're cave bats or tree bats or what they are. They're just
Batman's
little
bats. Duh.
They come over this hill and they just, yesterday, I was actually getting a little nervous. There were so many of them. I'm like, okay, I'm freaking out a little bit. That's a lot of bats flying around us. Oh, there you go. That's what a flock of bats are called.
We have colony, cauldron, a cloud of bats that are in flight.
Well, this is a cloud then. Definitely a cloud of bats. I would call it, I would be so brave as to call it a storm front of bats.
A hurricane that we're about to experience of bats.
They always talk about that. Here on the West Coast in the U.S., there's a hurricane coming up Baja, California, and it
Battalion
never hits us.
I'm so excited by how dismissive Eric is being about your like upcoming hurricane, because God, if that's not a warning sign right there that Eric doesn't care.
It's
I don't.
it's barreling down to LA, isn't it? All I know is
Yeah.
it's affecting my flying for the beginning of the week.
Oh.
Ooh, we can't have that.
No. Let's somebody call and tell them to
You-
cancel the hurricane.
You talked about the bat coming in, just touching the water. That was me today. I swooped in, just touched the ground with my butt, came up, and then perfect spot landing. Boom.
I should have known John would have made this about paragliding.
Of course. I had my monthly meeting tonight. I rushed home to be on this show with you. I could have
I've
stayed
had
there
this
and hung out
problem
and
with
had more beer with them.
constipation. Well, you know what's constipating? When you're up in the air and you got to pee. That's a problem.
No, oddly enough, self-solving problem. That one fixes itself.
All right, I got a question for you. It was inspired by a listener of the show whose name I will withhold currently, but I'm going to state what that is. We've talked about it on the show in the past. I'm going to state what it is. I want to talk about it. But before we talk about it, we're going to cut to one of our fantastic sponsors' ads, and then we'll come back and talk about it. The topic is coding tests for hire. So like you're going in to get a job and you're hit with a coding test. I'm kind of curious of where everybody stands on that. And we'll talk about that here after a word about Honey Badger.
To our friends at Honey Badger IO for sponsoring this podcast. When you're as bad of a developer as I am, monitoring your application becomes essential. I need clear, actionable intelligence on what I did wrong, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why I use Honey Badger, the monitoring tool we always wanted, a tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping. Know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honey Badger is the application health monitoring tool built for you, the developer who cares about a quality product and happy customers. Be the hero of your team and sign up for a free trial and start monitoring today at honeybadger.io. Setup takes as little as 5 minutes. See what you've been missing and fix it. Once again, that's honeybadger.io. Now, let's get back to the show.
Thank you, Honey
Thank you,
Badger.
Honey Badger. Hey, Tom, great. Oh, you're not here.
Great read, Tom. Yeah, you bastard. Walk out on one of the best reads out there. I see how you are. We're going to have to play that one again, but until Tom comes back, John, do you have any opinion on having to do a coding test to get a job?
I get so torn on that specific topic because as an employer, I want to know you know your stuff prior to hiring you, so I want to give you a test. As an employee, I'm like, am I doing work for free? And that's frustrating. Like, you're not paying me for my work. So I see both kind of sides of it. Tom, great read, by the way. Thanks for coming back.
You're muted, Tom.
Thanks, Honey Badger. I had to pee. I'm sorry.
Tom, what about you?
So I had proposed this a while ago, and I'm not sure if all of our listeners remember this, but explaining to me why a joke on programmer humor is funny.
It was a classic one. I like that.
That was a good one, yeah.
I really think you can get a lot out of that. Now, I've done the really horrible take a weekend and work full-time on the weekend to do this coding test thing. And I can tell you I'll never, ever do that again. It's a waste of...
As an employer or as an employee?
As an employer, I would never ask someone to do that. As an employee, I would never do it myself again. It's a gigantic waste of time and basically proves that you can work unassisted for 2 days and produce 2 days worth of completely unguided content. Recently, I've been reviewing candidates with just a simple Twitter clone, New York Times bestsellers list, that kind of thing. And
No, I don't know that kind of thing. Like, what do you mean that kind
Twitter
of thing?
clone. It's
Yeah,
just
but are you saying you have them create a Twitter clone? Isn't that a code for a test code for a job thing?
yeah. So, but this is, we give them 3 hours. We have an introductory meeting over Zoom. They get 3 hours. They come back and provide us the code and explain it to us as if we had no idea what it was they were working on.
I'm very confused. How did you go from, as an employer, I would never ask that, to, oh yeah, this is
I would
something we
never
do
ask
on a
for
regular
like a
basis?
weekend of full-time work.
Oh, okay. So you're saying an extreme case you wouldn't, but
I
just
I've,
a general.
yeah, I've spent 50 hours on a coding test once, and it was an enormous
Just to
mistake
be
on
clear,
my part.
they expected you to spend 2 hours. So
No, they expected me to spend. They expected me to be full time for 2 days, writing the response for their test.
I yeah, I really don't want to point this out, but like, there aren't 50 hours in 2 days.
Well, when I work full time for 2 days, that's 50 hours.
Okay,
hang on.
15.
So
I misspoke. 15 hours. A lost weekend on my part. We ask for.
how'd you go from 50 to 15? I'm confused. So in Discord, Jeffrey says, I would think an employer could take the time to review the top two or so repos of an applicant to see how they code.
Oh,
That's
God, I
assuming
wish.
the applicant one contributes to open source, because if you've only ever worked for employers, your code isn't going to be available to review. So not everybody does the side projects. Let me post them up on GitHub, or contributes to open source to be able to see how they code.
right. And I've stated
What portion of that code is theirs? How long did it take? One of the things we look for when we're hiring people is, can they perform X in Y time? What is their velocity? And
Oh my gosh, he sounds just like the Honey Badger commercial.
did we point out why the Honey Badger commercial is funny yet, or no? No.
it wasn't funny. I mean, what you said was kind of funny, but you know what you said. Obviously, you walked away. You didn't hear it, but
I heard
obviously.
I heard the first iteration of it on Discord. Discord.phpugly.com.
I didn't. There were no. Did you publish it to Discord? I didn't hear it in
No,
Discord.
you put it on Discord.
A Woods brings up a great point. I haven't thought about that. Have the candidate do a code review of one of the current PRs that's open.
That is good.
That's
way-
actually really good.
We just
That way-
can't do that. We can't.
I know it's proprietary code, but they're not seeing the code base. They're seeing a portion, like a PR.
We cannot do that. Absolutely could never ever do that. Like security. If I suggested that, I would have to have a meeting with security.
Well, what if you had
fair.
your engineering team put together a project that a candidate could review?
Sure.
And just say, hey, put together a project that you'd want a candidate to be able to identify certain patterns or issues.
Issues. Yeah, good
So
one.
the reason that we do things the way we do them now is because we don't specify front end, back end. We don't specify language or.
Oh, that's shitty.
No, we specify nothing. We just say a website, like a page where you can.
But I want to know what I'm being hired for. Why would I do that?
Well, because you've applied for a position that implies back end or front end or full stack. And
So you expect me to
if you produce something that is entirely back end with just a basic form on the front end, We know where you fit in the teams that we have. This
But now I'm
guy's
gonna
not.
feel shitty if I open something that has a terrible front end. I'm gonna feel like I'm failing there.
But that's exactly what I did, and it was not failing. It was, they said they don't really care about how it looks, and I said, all right, it's going to look terrible, but it will have the most features, and it will be exactly functional as you wanted it. And we got back stuff that, was bad. I got back. I can't get into it, but I got back stuff where there was just like, oh, this is a complete misunderstanding of how web resources are used. This is a complete misunderstanding of how APIs work. This is a
I've written some terrible APIs.
I have seen shit that would make your eyes bleed. And the thing is we got stuff back that was mediocre. We got stuff back that was fantastic. And we got stuff back that was an instant cut. You're just off the list. And when the hiring team meets up and says, like, hey, we all agree, right? Yeah, we all agree. Like, sorry, like this is year one developer stuff, and it's way off base. That saves us the time and saves the potential employee the time, where if we're giving them something to troubleshoot, they might be fantastic about troubleshooting and code reviews and QA, but that's not what we're hiring them for. We're hiring them to write good back-end code that is solidly documented, tested, and has a standard.
So that Twitter clone that you asked your people to write, you expect it to be tested and documented as well?
No. We hold no expectations. We say you have to be able to do this, and do this. And if they produce something that has TDD-driven development behind it, that you can tell that they did TDD, if they produce something that hits all the points, then we start measuring how they achieved it and why one way they did it is better than another, and how it would fit into our working environment as it stands now. Because one of our base instructions for our tests is no eloquent, no ORMs. So if somebody struggles with that right off the bat, like, there's nothing we can do about it. To work with our system.
I would 100% struggle with that. Today, I feel like I would totally struggle with that.
Yeah, and that's a bummer. But like, our code base requires you to be able to know how to read SQL in the area of 100-line queries.
Well, then your code base sucks balls.
That's never been brought up before internally.
Well, I'm gonna
hold on. I'm gonna start
as a professional.
I'm gonna let the CTO know your professional opinion.
Okay, you tell them to watch the podcast. I don't care.
Maybe then they'll sponsor us.
I clearly would never be hired there because I don't know how. I would not want to try to write raw SQL again. It just does not appeal to me anymore.
But this isn't.
See, I like it because ORMs often are clunky and don't do a very good job.
We have a
very good job. Really, is that the statement you're standing behind?
For complex queries, often they don't.
For
your simple models, for your general eloquent models, they do fine.
Let me say I entirely disagree with John here. However, there are other people above me at the company who agree with him.
I like to know exactly how my queries are written. Go ahead, Eric.
That's fine. Well, I like I said, I've stated in the past many times that it's not a practice that appeals to me. First off, let me just say, it's very easy for anybody to say, I would never do that to get a job when you have a job. When you need a
Which is
job,
when you should be doing it.
when you need a job, and especially when things are getting desperate for a job, you would be surprised what you're willing to do. And I'm not faulting
$20 is
anybody
$20.
who does go through the testing process. That's a personal decision you have to make. I feel like if you, as somebody seeking employment, have done your research on a company and you're pretty sure you want to work for that company, and they hit you with a coding test, and you decide to take it, and you're fine with that, then that's you, right? I personally don't do good with tests, and it's been something I've struggled with my entire life, and it can be the most simple test. I had to renew a certification last week for one of the clients that I work for. It's a government thing, and it is quite honestly one of the easiest tests you can take. I don't think anybody in the company has ever gotten like under a 95% on the test. And my anxiety and my nerves go through the roof every time I have to take it. And I feel like I could take it in my sleep because the questions and answers are that simple. But when you have like the condition I have, which is like, I feel like every question is a trick question, and the answer is never as simple as they try to make it out to be. And I get in my own head and I talk myself out of things. And again, this has been an issue with me my entire life. So I just don't do good with tests at all. But I've always stated in the past, as an employer, if you get to a point with a candidate that the decision hinders on them passing some sort of coding test, I feel like you haven't done your research as the employer on that candidate.
Well,
And I say that as an employer who has done that practice and will readily admit that we were trying to blindly find developers for a certain project that I had not done my research on. I didn't get a recommendation, and it was an unpleasant experience. Now, we were fortunate in that it worked out for us, but in general, I felt like I was starting behind in the process because I didn't have enough information on the person who had applied for the position. And there's a lot of factors involved here, but in general, I always feel like you as the employer, if you're serious about hiring a person that you feel like is an important person on a team, you have a certain responsibility to do some level of vetting of your candidates, and not just, oh, this resume is good, this resume is not, this resume he misspelled this, so we're going to not worry about them. Real vetting, like doing some research on the individual. So I don't know. I don't think I could
disagree with you, but we do that vetting as well. I mean, that all happens before the test gets to me.
So what? I mean, how much weight does the test take? How much weight does the test have in the hiring process?
To me, it's pass fail. So it
probably also depends on if you have a ton of applicants or not. Like if you're
nope.
No.
So hold on.
Nope.
I don't want to cut you off, John. I don't want to get too far away from what Tom just said. It's a pass fail.
Yeah.
So you're telling me if you go through a couple rounds of interviews and conversations with a candidate, they sound absolutely outstanding. You've done your research. They check a lot of the boxes, and they come back and they do poorly on your test application. That's it.
This is not a multiple question test. This is a can you read a spec? Can you execute on the spec within the amount of time that we give you? And what are the areas that you don't execute on that you minimize as priorities? Now, if I give you a test where I say, I want you to show me the New York Times top 10 books, the top 10 bestsellers, and you get hung up on what an API is, then I know that as great as you are as a candidate, you cannot fill the role that we need you to fill because you don't understand the difference between a get, put, post,
But
whatever.
shouldn't you have gotten that through the interview process, not from the code?
But some people are great interviewers and terrible coders.
And some people are really terrible at taking tests. Exactly.
But so this is not a multiple. This is not 10 questions test. This is we give them a general.
But you
objective.
understand, you put yourself in the shoes of the person looking for the job.
I took the
They're-
test. I am
they're-
in
they're
their
sit-
shoes.
They're sitting there trying to figure out, what do I think this person's looking for? How can I wow them? Can I, do they want some very abstract code where I have a bunch of repositories and classes, or do they want something simple? I mean, I don't know, man. It's
So our tests have a kind of a breakdown of need to have, want to have, nice to have.
And you share that with the candidate ahead of time?
Absolutely, we're totally transparent. The thing I do before I judge the code that comes back to me is read over the spec and make sure that they met the base needs of the spec. Can it query an API? Can it store the values in a database? Can the user interact with it? From there, does it have a good caching if you don't hit the API again if you don't need to? Is there a good handling for CSRF or the form validation? From there, does it
Are
pretty?
they allowed to
does
use
it-
middleware, or do they have to code that themselves?
See,
No,
I think
in
that's
my
a big
test-
ask, especially if you think the thing's only going to take a couple of hours for the person to do. Caching alone is such a big topic.
Yeah, but for a junior position, we don't give a shit that they didn't cache it. For my test,
But that's not what you just said.
no, it's pass fail. They've shown us what they can do in 3 hours with a very simple request, and if they do something outstanding that shows real promise, then that's a higher level position. But if they've done something that is fundamentally correct and meets the standards, and we're hiring for that position that just meets the standards and is supervised by higher level employees, then that's the job we're hiring for. But it's the same test for me as it is for a junior developer. I got way further with it than a junior developer did, but I didn't finish it. I wanted it to be much prettier, have React components or Vue components. If I had
So Jeffrey in Discord says, what if no specifications are given? Do you just grade it if it works, or in the high level functionality is there?
How would they know what to do if there's no specifications?
Specifications
Uh-oh.
come from the company, not from the
We give
candidate.
them specifications. If somebody comes back to us and they're looking at a high level developer position and they have produced Swagger docs, testing, database, the proper indexing on the database, caching with an Electron front end, and the requirement that they do raw SQL, boom, nailed it, high level position. Same test to a junior developer. If they came in with validated requests, good, that's a bonus point. They came in meeting all of the requirements, they parameterized their queries correctly so there's no SQL injection, boom, thumbs up, that's great. But if they didn't properly parameterize their queries and we still like them and like what they produced, we tell them, listen, I need you to start by focusing on parameterization and security. here's the resources you'll need in your first few months here to get on board with how we handle security here. This is not a test like the bar where you hit a certain point and you pass. This is, we get a solid judgment of what you know as a programmer and what you know in programming theory. Whereas, like, did you know, the API for the bestsellers list, New York Times bestsellers list, lets you set a count that you're fetching and the page that you're fetching. Basic pagination within the API. Did you come back and fetch 10,000 records every page and then do logic in your code to figure out what page you were on and to get those values out of the array? That was an instant fail for us. Like, you don't understand how volumes of data work. Pagination is a simple concept that you just missed it. And the SQL was ugly and bad. Like, fail is the low end. Fail is like 30%. If you did better than convincing us you had lied in the first interviews, then you pass. So, like, if they tell us, yeah, no, I've worked with Google and eBay and Facebook.
Yeah, all right. I think we've talked about this enough. You've talked for like the last 20 minutes defending your practice of testing people who are desperate for work. I get it, okay, and I'm not going to be able to talk you. And this was not to try to talk you out of it. I just was wondering what your thoughts were around the practice in general. So you seem to be, regardless of what you say, you seem to be on board with it. Sure, you can throw out the straw man. Oh, well, if they do this one thing where they expect you to do all this stuff, I don't agree with that. But in general,
these are all
you
real
agree
cases.
with the practice.
These are all real cases.
And in general, you agree with the practice.
Yeah, you should test people
Okay.
who say they can code to see if they can code.
If you do end up wanting to get a job with Tom, and you are put through this test, you may want to
Subjected
watch
to.
our next sponsor ad for a little help.
We here at PHP Ugly are happy to have JetBrains and PhpStorm as a sponsor. The entire team at PHP Ugly uses PhpStorm every day, and we love it. PhpStorm is a cutting-edge IDE tailored for PHP and web developers. Whether you're a newcomer or it's just been a hot minute since your last dive in, there's never been a better time to revisit. With a slick, clean new UI, blazing speed enhancements, and a richer toolkit, it's transforming the way we code. It's time to start coding like a professional. Visit jetbrains.com/PhpStorm and kick off your 30-day free trial. Code smarter, not harder. Let's get back to getting ugly.
Thank
you,
PhpStorm.
PhpStorm. And Tom.
And Tom, great job. I love the camera. That was a nice touch. I like that.
Didn't think I could get more pent up than that. You are.
Huh?
I don't know if you're just very red or if it's the lighting in your room.
I think it's the lighting in my room. I noticed that earlier. Let me try something.
I was gonna say, like, as I kept talking, you just sort of got redder and redder.
Oh no, that's actually
I mean,
pretty
that
common.
also-
when
that
I
does-
sit here and listen to you.
Yeah, that tracks.
That's normal. All right, so if nobody has figured it out, which I'm pretty sure everybody has figured it out, our commercial ads were AI trained based on, in that case, Tom. It was fun.
You said for 2 episodes. So for people who don't know, our audio tracks are all recorded separately, and Eric has just my audio track. So you only took 2 episodes of my audio track to train that.
No, that was for that initial pass that I posted to Discord. These actually had, I think, six shows worth. And honestly, I thought the one I did with 2 shows sounded better. And I was explaining to John and my kid who was over in the current life that when I was first listening to it, you always sounded the best. Like yours
Thank you.
always sounded the closest to you, and I don't know if you picked up on it.
I do have
But
a radio voice.
That's exactly what you sound like, and it even has your cadence of, I don't know if it was this one or the Honey Badger one
The
where you
first
go,
one starts with I was like,
yeah,
okay.
and the long pauses. That's
Yeah.
all you,
Yeah, I
and
know.
it did that. Mine was all right, and John's I thought was horrible. So John has one as well. I'll put John
Well,
to in a second.
you fed him
just
that
so you can
episode
hear
where he
him.
got high, so it just had zero.
But it was weird because I added our images to the ad read, and all of a sudden everybody sounded like they were supposed to sound. And I don't know if I was tricking my brain. I'm very curious. I go back and listen to the audio version in my truck just to make sure that what I pushed out was okay. I'm wondering if it still sounds as good there.
So there's an auditory illusion called the bouncing ping pong ball effect, where when you hear the same sound over and over, it sounds like ping, 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 ping. But when you see a ball on the screen going back and forth, you hear ping, pong, ping, pong. So there is definitely something to do with seeing like the face with the AI speech.
So let me play John's real fast so you can, just out of curiosity, in Discord, did everybody know that was AI? If you weren't in the Herd channel, you weren't in on the joke. That was actually something that was in the Herd channel, which is if you're a Patreon supporter, you're in that channel. It was a AI engine that you can train on voices that was shared, and I had done a brief sample and shared it. But here's John. Tell me what you think of John's.
Our friends at Honey Badger IO for sponsoring this podcast. When you're as bad of a developer as I am, monitoring your application becomes essential. I need clear, actionable intelligence on what I did wrong, not walls of charts and reams of logs to tail. That's why I use Honey Badger, the monitoring tool we always wanted, a tool that's there when you need it and gets out of your way when you don't, so that you can keep shipping. Know when critical errors occur and which customers are affected. Respond instantly when your systems go down. Improve the health of your systems over time, and fix problems before your customers can report them. Honey Badger is the application health.
Was there an episode where John had a cold the whole time? It's terrible.
Right? His definitely sounds the worst.
Like it's
And the current wife thought his was the best. First thing, when the current wife listened, she knew almost immediately it
Sounds
wasn't
like
me.
John doing a voice.
She knew almost immediately it wasn't me, but had no idea it wasn't you and John. It wasn't Tom and John. And her feedback on it was very interesting. She said she knew it wasn't me because the cadence was completely wrong. I didn't stutter, I didn't mumble, I didn't repeat myself. So she had a pretty good idea it wasn't me, just because the person spoke so much better than I did. But with John and Tom, John, she was most impressed with, but she had no idea neither one of you guys weren't actually reading that. So for kind of to round this out, here's a sample of mine.
We here at PHP Ugly are happy to have JetBrains and PhpStorm as a sponsor. The entire team at PHP Ugly uses PhpStorm every day, and we love it. PhpStorm is a cutting-edge IDE tailored for PHP and web developers. Whether you're a newcomer or
yeah, that's
What?
It's totally unaware of how you cannot stop yourself with some syllables. So PhpStorm is a cutting edge. Like you can't let 5 words go by without emphasizing something in a grandiose way.
I'm like, can you listen less?
I know. If you look back at your reads, every 5, 6, 7 words, it's this is.
Oh no, I know my challenges with
Well,
public
and it's
speaking.
really
Trust me,
fast for you.
I listen to our show more than either one of you guys. I can assure you.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It's too fast. It's
mine is definitely too fast.
yeah. Well, and the initial one, the one of me that you uploaded first, was too fast as well.
Oh no, I should log in with the browser just so I can play that for our non-Patreon
Well, so
people.
this is interesting because I've I've been playing a little bit of Baldur's Gate 3 lately, which is a new video game that came out, sort of universally applauded as one of the greatest video games ever made. But when I was playing it, I kept getting the feeling that this is the last game I'm really going to play that's not AI assisted. Because they voice act everything. There's a narrator. There's no lines that just go on text. It's all spoken lines, except for your character. And I think that's going to be the next thing in the sort of character creation realm, is choosing your character's voice and having it be one of those just things that you modify as part of your character's design.
I don't get that. Tom's made me want to donate some money to the local Humane Society. Oh yeah, I feel like that's a compliment, but it's a weird one.
Well, you guys know that I don't sound in person the way I sound on the podcast. I
sound exactly like that in person.
Shit.
I mean, what did you mean by that? Am I missing something? Do I not understand the question?
I try to have a radio presence. I try not to dwell on getting the wrong word. You know,
you don't do a very good job.
In person, I think I speak much slower and with much less intention. But on the podcast, you know, I have the sort of persona of Tom. He's never wrong.
We're not personas. We are people. We talk. We just have.
I agree with you there.
That's one.
I agree with you there, Tom. You definitely talk slower in person.
Yeah,
like you do for sure.
And it's a subconscious decision, but having the wonderful condition I have, I'm very aware of how I present myself to each individual person and the different personas I have for every conversation.
That's where I'm going wrong with this whole podcasting thing.
We need personas, John.
No, I need multiple personalities.
Yeah,
damn it.
Just dabble with high functional autism. It's a great place to start.
Well, that was fun, and those are our new ad reads because I got shitted on last week, even though I said this is a placeholder, and I got my ad reader over at the house. But by that time, I had already trained the AI. I'm like, nope, we're using this now. And
you had posted the copy onto Slack, and then the next day posted the audio of me reading the copy, and I was like, oh, great, I don't have to do it now. That's awesome.
I didn't. What are you talking about? I didn't post that.
The copy is on our Slack channel.
Yeah, and told you to get that to me by yesterday.
Right, but then the next day, the day after you posted the copy on the Slack channel, you posted me reading it on the Discord channel.
100% did not.
I've got it right here, the herd.
Feel free to play it. Yeah, I don't know what you think you heard. You didn't hear you reading that copy. I didn't even make that copy until well after I posted the test.
Well, no, okay. Reading any copy, you faked me, and I said fine. Oh, also, you faked me doing ASMR.
Oh yeah, where he ended with.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was. Oh, for fuck's sake! Posted that. OHFFS posted that. So, if you want to hear it, me whispering Sweet nothings
How-
about
how he's
PHP
attracted-
Storm.
Or how he's attracted to Eric.
Yeah, that's PHP After Dark.
Yeah,
We'll
I might
play
be,
that.
might be able to do that.
Eh,
I was
they'll join the Herd channel if they want to hear
I was not happy about that one.
Oh, I love that one. I listen to it. It puts me to sleep every night.
Oh, I know.
My
it.
favorite
This
one.
just got really weird.
Tom Comes Clean.mp3. Great. Super good.
Yeah, that one got away from me a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Not gonna...
Oh. So
me see.
this all
Hold on,
came to us.
hold on. Let me see if I can figure this out. I'm gonna see if this works because I think I had already figured this out once before. So if I take this here, I take this here. Tell me if you hear it.
Nope.
Nope. Hold on.
And I think we all know that. If I were still into men, I would totally be attracted to Eric.
Now you hear it?
Yeah.
I know I like to give Eric a really hard time, but the truth of the matter is he's one of the smartest people I know. That is why I look up to him and get guidance from him when I can. There is no question that Eric is the main host of the podcast, and I think we all know that. If I were still into men, I would totally be attracted to Eric.
It's too fast, but it got the cadence right. It just makes me sound like Ben Shapiro.
Oh, I do love that. I
This
feel like
came to
I
us.
deserve some sort of recognition for not doing a lot worse with that power.
That's-
It was very tempting.
I am very proud of your moral fortitude. Thank you.
You took your toes right up to that line, but you didn't really cross it. You're okay.
This all comes to us thanks to our Discord channel and our wonderful patrons on Patreon. If you didn't catch it already, Eric was saying that this was in the Herd Discord channel, which is an exclusive for our patrons on Patreon. And do we have anyone new this week? Do we have Eric? Have you queued it up yet? Did I softball that one enough for you?
You did an absolutely fantastic job. I just wanted to turn the music down before I started.
Didn't work. Still didn't work. You're cutting out back and forth.
No.
Yeah, you're fine.
So thank you to our patrons on Patreon. You have made impersonating me so much easier for my close enemies.
That would be me. Yes, thank you for all our supporters on Patreon. Hey, what's this?
So
Oh, check it out. If you hover over it now, there's controls. That's new in Restream.
Oh, that is new.
Go figure. John, you were going to say something?
So is the AI that you trained, is that something you run locally or is it a service you used?
A service you use. And it only needs, I think it only asks for like 2 minutes of speech,
Wow,
of
that's-
isolated speech of a person. And
It said in my voice, it said, "Thank you." Like the way I say it. It's so some of it is just like, oh yeah, that's obviously wrong. But then some of it I'm like, fuck, that's just a recording of me.
yeah, I think I messed up a little bit because, as we already stated, the service we use to stream our live show breaks our audio tracks down to each host, right? That's what I used. The problem with it is there's a lot of us like stopping talk like or there's a lot of like, especially mine, a lot of laughing. I feel like if I at least could have cut out the laughing, it probably would have done even a better job, but I wasn't going to spend that much time on it. But yeah, I ended up taking like, I think I ended up going back like 6 shows. I know each one of us, all of our training voices were between 45 minutes to 60 minutes. And big hat off to being a command line person, because you can only upload, I forget what the sizes were of each audio track, but it was like 5 megabytes. So I was creating this one big MP3 file, and then I'd run it through FFmpeg to break it down to nothing bigger than 4.5 megabytes. And then I got a bunch of individual files. Then I uploaded all that. So we could have also ended up with the problem of one sample cutting off in the middle of a word or middle of a sentence, and the other sample picking it up. And I don't know how it works for that, but in general, I thought a really good job.
The fun news is that the people who develop the AI don't know how it works either. So,
Eric, you know what we didn't talk about before we end the show, and I'm like, oh, I meant to talk about this.
I wrote something down too, so I'm curious if it's going to be the same topic. You go.
The other thing we did this week is we finally got all of the videos up on phptek.tv.
hey.
I don't know what took the last, what was it, 6 or 7 talks? Like,
yeah.
It just kept lingering between Eric and I, and we finally got them. They're up. Everything's up. Go watch. Enjoy. Yes. If you haven't gotten your virtual pass to get it, you can still do that for a little bit. Yeah, they're all up there. Have you watched the database abstractions and where they leak talk?
No.
That's the last one I did, and I had to manually put the slides in, and I'm kind of happy with how it turned out.
I need to go back and watch that one. Yeah, I know you were putting a lot of work into that one.
That's the one that took me the most time, because we had no slides in that talk, and I was able to download them. I tried to time it to where, as he was talking, it transitioned the slides just fine. I think it turned out well. And good.
I was going to say, if you haven't been listening to the show, John and I are two of the people behind PHP Architect, and we did the phptek conference this year back in May. In very last minute, we decided to do a live stream and then make the videos, and for everybody who bought a live stream or attended the conference, make the videos available. So that then put an additional effort on John and I to go through all the talks, edit them, post them, make this
sorry for the delay
TV site that we were literally coding at PHPtek, make it so that you can log in and view these talks. And there's been a lot of moving parts to this piece, but I felt like it turned out really well. And across the board, John and I are definitely not audio video guys. We don't do this for a living, and we were just kind of
and we know where the shortcomings are on the site. We know that there's things we can improve.
Yeah, we're going to work on that. The site is, I'm still thinking I'm going to move forward with my Symfony version and not worry about doing anything with the current version. And I don't have as much time as I felt like I had a month ago.
You probably got about a month less.
Yeah. Dude, it was after talking about all the stuff for phptek 2024 and looking at our timelines, which John and I have a pretty cool database of things we want to get done and when we want to get it done. And all of a sudden, like, things are like quickly approaching. Like, oh yeah, we're going to have something put together here fairly soon. You know, we need to do call for papers. We need to do sponsors. We need to get sponsors. It's just everything is just like coming really fast. So I'm stressing. But
have you thought
that database abstraction one I was talking about, just for context before we move on? was interesting in the sense if you're writing an application or something that you want to how do you say, you want to distribute and let other people have their own version. For example, you release something open source and you want people to be able to take that, run it on their own servers, and they get to choose their database that they're going to use. Some people are going to use MySQL, some Postgres, some Oracle, whatever. A great talk to watch. Gotta leave it at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. I need to
Or-
watch that.
Yeah, you think you're installing Doctrine so that all of a sudden you can just do this and anyone can use whatever database they want? Watch that talk.
I was going to ask about Doctrine. So you're using Symfony basically for the first time for this video site. Are you using Doctrine?
Yeah, I went with Doctrine. And it's funny because like one of the biggest things that I feel like I was going to struggle with, I still don't like it too much, but the way it handles routing and the fact that it's an attribute, because it's one of those things where I just have to start using it to understand how to handle certain cases. Because I know in Laravel you have the routes file. You can have as many routes files as you want. You don't have to have one or two. You can create as many as you want. But just in general, you have a routes file. And you have the ability to like group routes and apply certain middleware to a group of routes and things like that. But what's really simple, but I'm not sure how to do it with the Symfony yet, is you can prioritize routes. Like you can say, okay, because it reads it from, I think it's top to bottom, and the first matched route it finds is what fires.
Which is the opposite of Laravel. The last match route is the one that fires in Laravel.
Laravel is what I'm talking about. So that's what I'm saying. I can't remember if it's the first or last or top to bottom or bottom to top, but okay, so it's the last matched route it finds is what fires.
I believe.
I don't know how to do that with attributes, and I did a little research. There is a way to do it, and there's like, this is the frustrating thing to me. As somebody learning Symfony, like really trying to spend some time learning Symfony, but coming from multiple other frameworks. I've done KPHP in the past. I did a little Slim stuff, a little Slim work, and then of course, of recent years, last 10 years, very Laravel focused. Just understanding these simple things gets really frustrating because all those other solutions would have one way of doing something like routes, right? It would be a route file, and that's how you do it. And Symfony is like, oh yeah, it can be an attribute, or you can have this YAML file. It's like, wait, what? There's two ways to do it. Don't do that. Don't give me too many options. I'm not good with options.
I'm still stuck on why you would have multiple routes matching the same route.
Dude,
What,
I've had to do it so many times.
What would you be stuck with it? So let me give you an example. User / the username would take that user to their profile, right? But
Okay.
user / create, you don't want it to take you to a create profile. You want that to create the user.
Okay.
So you have to make sure those fire correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Fair enough.
And I think that is bad architecture, but it's also realistic architecture. That
Right.
shit
Normally you would just post to / user, not user create. But I get where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I've run into that in unbelievably stupid ways, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. So I'm really excited about doing Symfony work. I'm a little hesitant because I don't have the time I used to have to take on new
Oh yeah.
learning.
Sounds
What
like
do
you've
you
been watching a lot of bats lately.
I love my bats. Yeah.
That's a half hour lost every day. That's what? 2 hours, 2.5 hours a week? You're just wasting watching bats?
Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be fun. We'll see how it works. I mean, I figure if worst case, I need to pivot back to Laravel. It's always there. I kind of know what I want to get accomplished, and I don't think any of it is that challenging from a Laravel perspective. So we'll see how easy it is from a Symfony. I am a little hesitant about losing my Livewire. People have shown me a lot of alternatives for Symfony, and I'm interested in learning them. But like the little reading I've done on them, I'm like, yeah, no, this sucks. This is not Livewire. And I also
suggested cocaine was way off base. just do cocaine instead. Yeah.
You just code nonstop for 4 days. You'll be fine. I'm excited. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Like I said, I'm definitely feeling like not having a lot of extra time. I don't think I shared the story with you all. I think I briefly shared it with you, but I ran into Sammy K at Laracon. He was the one that had asked me to take over PHP Roundtable. I've rehashed this many times, but of course that's when everything in our life, my life, John and I's life, went crazy with PHP Architect and all this other stuff. Ended up having a call with Sammy, and he's kind of giving me some ideas, and I really feel like I can get that ball moving again, especially when I talk through it with him, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, 3 weeks have passed and I still haven't done anything, and realize, God damn, I just time. I just don't have enough time anymore. It's a struggle. I definitely don't have 3 hours to take a practice test coding for a job. All right, where are we at on time? Oh, we're good. Real good. Anybody have anything else you want to touch on?
Yeah, I had one thing, because I'm
We have no show notes for this week.
One thing. You threw Tailscale at me like it was the solution to all the shit I needed for my servers.
Absolutely. I stand behind that.
I need to host it myself. That's the problem.
No. Why? What? Why? What are you talking about? What does Tailscale not do? What are you not understanding about the greatness of Tailscale?
I can't host the Tailscale server on one of my VMs. I have to. I only have Tailscale clients that connect to the Tailscale website. So I will be setting up. I will be setting up my own version of Tailscale.
Wait! Slow down a little bit. What? there is no server. It's all decentralized. All Tailscale is doing is giving you a VPN to route stuff to. So it's there is no server.
The OAuth authority for that is tailscale.com.
But you don't need.
So
you have to authenticate to Tailscale to get the server on your private network. That's true.
But to get to the server, you have to authenticate to Tailscale as well.
No, that's not true. That's 100% not true. If you're going from a machine that you as part of the Tailscale network, you're on a VPN.
I'm not going from a machine. I'm going from a random machine in a library, trying to log into my server at home.
Yeah, you don't want to do that just in general, I don't think.
No,
why would you do that?
OpenVPN is one of the solutions I'm looking at.
But why would you do that? Even OpenVPN,
because if Tailscale disappears, like if the company vanishes, then all those VPN connections die with it. Because it's
absolutely. Yeah, it's no more of a risk than AWS going away or DigitalOcean going away or your OpenVPN server crashing and dying. I mean, that's all very true, but I don't think you're making a good enough argument to say that it's not.
It's just not what I'm looking for. It's a great.
You're looking
That's
for
a-
you're wait. Stop for one goddamn moment. You're honestly telling me what I'm looking for is a solution where I can go to a random public computer and log into my private network? That's what you're telling me? You're full of
Yes.
shit.
Yes.
You just don't want to
You're
like
not.
it.
You're not going to
because I
install
told
an open VPN client on the.
This is my
Whatever.
point.
No.
This is what I'm
Open-
saying. It's like you're
Open
not going to
V-
install the cert for an open VPN on a public computer at your library.
No, I don't have to install the cert there. OpenVPN on my system runs as the OAuth authority to gain access to my VPN.
But you still have to have an open VPN client to set that up.
That's how
You
OpenVPN works.
It's just a web interface. I can go into VNC console, Windows shell.
Whoa!
You're doing a lot of stuff on a
You're
public
making a
computer.
VLC connection, but you won't make an SSH connection. So what I'm
I
going
just
to
don't
say
trust
to
the
you is
Tailscale's gonna
you
be
can
there in 10
have
years.
you can have a server somewhere
this-
running Tailscale,
This is
and
one
then
of my.
SSH from your public computer to that server,
But
and then
it's-
start
this is-
bouncing around.
This is one of my
Tailscale's
annoyances with
compromised.
other things in general. You want a single point of failure that you have to manage, so it's something else you have to control that could just crash or whatever
Yes.
on a single point, versus a company that has high availability and does this for a living on the off chance that they might possibly go away.
No. Okay.
The chances of
For-
your single
no.
machine going away is higher than
Yes, it is.
their
And-
distributed network.
For absolute clarification purposes, this is a hobby. I am not doing it the easy way on purpose because it is a hobby.
But that's not the way you said it to begin with.
Yeah,
If
personally,
this was a I want to do this because it'll be fun, that's one thing.
It might not have
Right.
been. But what I'm saying is that I'm choosing the hard way because the hard
That's
way
different.
has its own benefits.
so don't say Tailscale sucks or whatever you said.
Dude,
Just Tailscale, we still
I
want you to
said,
sponsor
all
us.
I said was Tailscale is not the solution I'm looking for.
You
But you
implied
made
that
it-
it was
you-
a bad service.
And that they could go away at any moment.
I'm saying that
Therefore, I want to
Tailscale
host
is
OpenVPN
a
myself.
closed source service, and I'm looking for a fully
Tailscale
open
is
source.
a closed source service made available, built on open source solutions that they also share with you on how you can do. So
Yes,
basically,
and
they tell you how you can set up your own Tailscale network yourself if you wanted to be like Tom and just host everything yourself without VPNs.
But that's the part that's missing is that actually the home node you cannot self-host. So if
I haven't tried it, so I couldn't tell you.
If Tailscale.com stopped responding to DNS for any given reason, my home node would be dead. I cannot.
No,
host
but
it off
what
my
I'm
own
saying
DNS.
is the technology Tailscale's built on is open source technology that they
Yeah, so
tell
that's,
you.
that's WireGuard, and WireGuard is implemented in other.
Well,
technologies.
WireGuard is the big thing, yeah.
right. So WireGuard is implemented in other
No, not Wire.
technologies.
Is
that-
it WireGuard?
Yeah, it is.
I
Yeah.
thought it was something else.
No, trust me, I've been doing it all week.
I definitely after this conversation don't trust you.
So Tailscale is built on WireGuard, which is great. And there's another service that's more closed that's not built on WireGuard that a lot of people in the home lab community are big fans of. However, this implementation, you don't have a root node that you're in control of. Tailscale is the root node, and you are at their whim.
That's fine. I think again that's a risk rewards evaluation you have to do as an individual. For me, it's a matter of getting work done. Yeah, I've been very close to absolutely doing away with our VPN, which we have a VPN. It's a pain in the ass when it's not working, and a person who works with us isn't able to access a resource for a client because they're not able to connect to the VPN. That fucking sucks.
Absolutely.
So
That's what I want to be in charge of. So I want if AWS goes down, I want all of my shit to still
here you
work.
go. Headscale. Look at Headscale. It is a self-hosted Tailscale control server. There you go. Done and done. There's many solutions. Somebody has shared a solution with me. That's what I was just looking up. Was the solution? Somebody has shared a solution with me that was.
Where did you see that? I didn't.
Oh, here. I'll put it in.
No, I found it, but like, where did you see it posted?
I just looked real fast. I was trying to find. That's where I was going with this. Somebody had shared with me other solutions that are very Tailscale-ish, but it are open source self-hosted solutions. I was just looking for that, and I came across this Headscale. I know nothing about Headscale. I'm not saying that they're the right thing, but it's there. And like I said, Tailscale I thought had some sort of tutorial or something, but I can't find that either.
So the problem with Tailscale is that they refer to everything as a server. So when you look at the parent node, there's no way of setting up a Tailscale parent node, just servers, which are really clients. But this Headscale thing looks very new. So you have piqued my interest.
Yeah. Well, let me know how that works out for you.
I am 100% on board with doing this.
I really don't remember what that other solution was. I thought it was you that told me about it, Tom. But I guess not.
There's an alternative.
Let's go alternatives. Here we go.
I need Tom's time where I can spend all this time playing video games and or setting up my own.
Zero tier.
Oh yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
Zero
but
tier.
It doesn't run on the WireGuard protocol, so I am not down with it.
Actually, I don't know if this is right or not. This doesn't look like the website I was on, but whatever. It's not important. I'm happy with Tailscale. Yeah, John, I agree with you. He does this shit, and then he says, "I don't have time to write an article for PHP Architect. I'm too busy."
The article is about this.
Whatever.
Would you prefer I don't do my research? Because that's how I've been operating lately.
Prefer you to write an article for us. That's what I prefer.
All right.
That goes to anybody watching or listening to this show. If you haven't written an article,
no one's going to write an article for free.
Well, that's a good thing. I wouldn't expect them to write an article for free. They will need to pass a test to write the article. No, that's not true either. But we do pay for articles.
I feel like I set myself up for that one.
I mean, we need to touch back on your geography challenges. Somebody else posted. Where was that posted in Discord? Was that in general? Please tell me that was in general.
I think that was general.
Oh gosh, I love that. I love that about our Discord channel. Somebody in Discord posted Tom's map of California.
Yeah.
I did not see this.
Oh, you didn't? I'll see if I can. Oh, here it is. It's way back there now.
Hey, August 12th. Yeah.
Can you copy a link or?
Yes, you can reshare, can't you?
Yeah, here I'll put. Oh yeah, let's probably do that. That's probably better. Here, I'll put that there.
Copy message link. Done.
Yeah. Is there a reshare? Weren't you? I thought there was.
Here.
Oh, did you just do that?
I did it that way.
That didn't work. What's that?
It's just a link.
Oh, you
backwards.
click on it. Oh, it doesn't. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome.
Did you watch the? We got to end. We're so long. Did you watch the scammer video I posted?
Oh yeah, about the password.
Yeah.
I love that.
Oh yeah.
We'll put that in our Discord.
I know.
Did you put that in the Discord?
About.
Yeah. I mean, I'll
Oh
do the
yeah,
same thing
there
I
it
just
is.
did.
That's where I always lose track of whether it's in Discord or Slack or where the hell it is.
Here's another link. Oh, it does look terrible.
That map is shockingly correct.
I like that guy. He's hysterical.
Yeah.
All right.
We got to be done.
John's right. John needs to wrap up. I actually
I-
have things to do still tonight after editing the podcast. So, I'm a busy guy. I'm way more important than both you guys. You should
True.
be clear on that.
That's
Sure.
true.
All right, let me get that ready to go. I'm just gonna keep talking. There we go. And we're good. All right, so that's gonna wrap it up for episode 348. I'm out.
348. That's crazy. I'm John.
I'm Tom.
Keep it ugly.
Keep it ugly.
48.
1, 2, 1, 2. Coming off the top, y'all know how we do. Listen, I'ma drop a freestyle you can cherish. I'ma send a shout out to the host named Eric. Yo, he's never on some average shit. You know, Eric, he stays loud and passionate. I'm about to break it down for y'all with the clever song. Yo, shout the host named Thomas, cause he's never wrong. And shout to John, you know that he's smart and quiet. Unlike my freestyles, which cause a riot. I'm about to do it like this, cause the people love me. Shouts out to PHP,
Get your
the
title
ugly.
request
It's
in
called
if you have
ugly
it.
cause it's not professional. But I'm about to come through and bless it with style. So let's do it when I'm spitting, I perfume the room. Yo, the segment of the show is called Doom and Gloom. That came from Thomas. Yeah, can nobody go beyond this? I get the mic and then I'm about to keep it like a promise. Yeah, and y'all know we fill them up with anguish. We talking about the PHP, the programming language. About to break it down, no exaggeration. What do y'all do for a living? Web applications. Okay, I can dig it. My words spray tight. They getting together on the Thursday nights. Yeah, when it comes to rhyming, you can call me the new dude. I spew true lyrics while y'all broadcast on YouTube. So let's get it. You know my lyrics are major. All up in the comments, they got plenty of haters, but they doing what they doing. Keep it ugly. We ending every show with the saying it's lovely. Let's go. Hey, shout out to y'all. Peace to the whole squad, man. Hope your channel is doing real well on YouTube. Hope you guys are having fun. And it was an honor and blessing to do this little custom freestyle for y'all. Hope you enjoy. Stay up. Yeah. Come on. Hey.
Get your titles in. Get your show titles in. I'm really curious now, Tom, if they. So that's the service they used. For anybody curious what we're talking about, Tom linked me back to the oh for fuck's sake is the one who shared with me the service 11 Labs that does the AI voice training thing. And the ASMR, like, is what did he just? I wonder if that's like a reflection he told it to do with a trained voice, or if there's ASMR voice, because there's like these stock voices you can use, and that's kind of what he said. He says he's using a general stock voice or whatever. But I'm wondering if the voice itself is ASMR or if that's like a reflection you can
It's
put
the
on it.
intonations. It's the way each syllable's pronounced.
Oh my something happened to my machine recently. I can't get the maps. Like, it's just
Google
a black
Maps?
screen. Yeah, on Google Maps, it's just a black screen. I happened to notice it recently with we use Figma for brainstorming and stuff, and that came through as a black screen. Like I was on Zoom with somebody and they were sharing their screen and I could see their mouse moving around. I could see their mouse on my screen. And when I moved my mouse on the screen, I could see it via Zoom on theirs. But the screen itself is completely black. And the same thing is happening with maps right now. What is going on?
Is it just in Chrome or is it just like everything?
Well, I mean, I've tried in Chrome incognito.
I'll tell you what I did that
Like, I see it for a second, then it just goes black.
cost me a day. Is I had a Pi-hole running and told my router like everything goes to Pi-hole.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a guest network and like an IoT network, and didn't realize that the guest and IoT network they just split my class C into 3. So it's a /22 subnet. So my IoT devices, none of them could realize they could reach the internet anymore because they couldn't talk to the Pi hole to get DNS. It was a huge pain in the ass.
That's weird, John.
Yeah.
When's the last time you rebooted?
Yesterday.
Do you pull up the inspect console?
Uh-huh.
See what's like any errors?
I mean, I had a ton of stuff, and it seemed like the only thing that stood out was possible memory issue. But like I said, I rebooted. I closed down Chrome.
I assume this
currently
is
no
the Pop?
errors. What?
I assume this is your Pops machine.
Yeah. Yep.
I had an issue. I installed a new NVIDIA driver and had an issue and ended up having to like roll it back to like the previous version and corrected things.
Well, I did. I mean, I did go through a system update, so maybe that happened.
Yeah.
Do you have a Firefox or Chrome plugin called Widevine?
Nope.
What? Why do I?
No.
All right, let me see what title suggestions we have out there because nobody's talking in Discord anymore. I think everybody just left us.
Because we went so friggin' long.
No, we didn't.
John, you're the only one that complains about us going long.
Hour and a half. What are you telling me we didn't go long?
We've done 2-hour episodes this month.
Stop it.
What?
3 weeks ago was a straight up 2-hour episode.
I don't think we've done 2-hour episodes.
Uh-oh. The Orcal kid's talking to the current wife. That's not good.
Well, she didn't say whose wife she was talking to. Maybe she's talking to your wife.
They.
I mean, they are talking to your wife.
All right.
I don't get it.
No title from A Woods. Come back home.
Where?
You're right. It is a very quiet week for A Woods this week. He must have fallen asleep. He was up at 10. He was up a half hour ago. A Woods is a East Coaster, so could very easily have been. He's fallen asleep.
All right. Well, I'm happy to know that it wasn't just Figma. It's something with my machine.
This is my my newest toy.
What am I looking at?
Smart garage door.
Oh,
Guess how much it cost?
mine cost, but well, I can't really go off mine because I had the whole garage door replaced. So
This is
I don't know.
the existing garage door. This unit just makes it smart.
Okay,
$20.
well, I'd try that for $20. I'd buy that for $20.
I mean, that sounds like what I put in. I don't know what that device you have is, but mine is just literally a plug.
To your existing garage, you didn't do anything to the garage opener at all. Okay, I got to get one of these because again, I have certain compulsion issues, and one of my bigger compulsion issues is knowing if I shut my garage door or not. And if I can just see, does it tell you if your garage door is closed or open?
So this is the part. This is just a tilt sensor, and you tape it to one of the panels on your garage, and it knows
mine
if
is
it's open.
much smaller.
It just knows if the garage is open based off of the tilt angle of it.
John, which one do you have? Do you have like a name or something?
I'll get it for you. I think it's Go Garage, but Go Control. That's it.
I definitely need to get one of these.
It's a Z-Wave.
So this one's Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, and it's, when you realize what it's doing, it's not that smart. All it is a radio that's able to send the open-closed command,
Mm-hmm.
and a box that understands the tilt sensor being tilted or not tilted.
So does the tilt sensor have a? Does that have a battery or?
It does, but it's like a fucking 10-year lifespan or something like that.
Gotcha. And then the other thing just plugs in, right? That's always plugged in.
Yeah, and it's got LEDs on it for like when the garage is open or closed, and it can control 2 doors. But like honestly, once you think about what it's really doing, it's just the API that matters. So I actually have a project. I'm gonna try and mock the API and forward, like with a home DNS, forward all the requests to a server that runs the whole thing offline. It's pretty interesting. It's interesting because it makes smart devices look so stupid because they're so bad.
This is smart devices. That's the smartest device, something that does something very simple.
Right.
This question's open to both yet. Do either one of yours require another service?
No. Mine, it's Z-Wave. So as long as you have something that can control Z-Wave devices, like I use Samsung Smart Things, but you can also hook it up to your Amazon Alexa smart device.
So this one is just Wi-Fi to some API and an app that you configure the whole thing with.
I need this.
Have you noticed that
in my life?
Have you noticed the ambient noise has gone down? I got fan control for my servers working correctly. Nobody?
Nice. Good job.
The server stuff is fun, man.
It's fun when you don't have a company depending on it running correctly. It's a fucking blast.
Yeah, it's great.
Yeah,
Thank you,
knockout kid.
They weren't talking to you.
All right. I'm crashing. I'm heading out.
All righty.
All right.
All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us tonight.
Oh, you guys can
Bye.
keep talking if you want. Bye.